Hi, Deepa Rani Shekar from Transform Life Programs. Love and Light. Friends, today let me take you to have a peek at the memory lane from my childhood. Some of my fondest and most precious memories from childhood. So, those of my generation, what were the fondest things we did during childhood? One was visit to the grandmother's house or spending the entire vacation in grandparents' house. Agreed? Yes. As we went to the grandparents' house, it was like a headquarters. All our cousins came there, didn't they? Was it fun? Absolute fun it was. And what did we do? We played through the day. There was no television. Even though the television was just making its advent, the time of television was very much restricted, like from 6 o'clock in the evening to 10 o'clock in the night or something. And there would be very few entertaining programs. So through the morning we played. We played various kinds of games. So I'm sure most of you did this. And with our childhood friends or cousins, we went from one mangrove to another to steal mangoes. It's not that we couldn't afford buying mangoes. Just the thrill of climbing the tree, spreading our skirt, putting a couple of mangoes in there, and washing it stealthily, eating it was a kind of pleasure, right? The pressure, what if we are caught, was a pleasure too. I'm sure most of us will agree. Today, every street corner there are mangoes and we buy it for our children because there are hardly any mangoes and we don't allow our children like that to venture by themselves. Learning to bicycle was a very special thing, and there wouldn't be the wheels like the bicycles of today have. Somebody had to run behind us holding the carrier of the cycle as we bicycled. That was a huge obligation. And when they learned, we ran behind them. So that was a kind of an obligation that built between us. There was a kind of gratitude. And I would like to mention here the fondest memories of my childhood or how things grew is I remember my maternal uncle, Sridhar Mama, as we fondly called him, with gratitude, love, and respect. As children, he used to take us when we went to the grandmother's house to stay, and he used to take us to the park opposite to Mantri Mall in Malleshwaram, and used to make us play crazily. He used to make us run, hop, skip, whatever. And why I'm mentioning this is the reward was for whoever did the whole lap of the park, for whoever who did whatever activity he gave us, the reward was one full jamun. The rest of us got half a jamun. The winner got one glass of juice, while the rest of us got half a glass of juice. The reward was like this, not because he wanted to reward somebody or not. The salary or the money with which he had, this is what he could afford for us every day. I'm sure most of us will relate. There were quite a few of our uncles who did this for us during childhood. He would pick us up from our home, take us to grandmother's house, indulge us, pamper us. Everything was a celebration. I remember his spirit. Everything was a celebration. If we got sweet lime, Mosambis, we would never be allowed to peel and eat in a serious way. He would make it like a game, throwing it like a ball, whisk-washing across the room, much to the chagrin of my grandmother though. And we would be in that celebratory mode when we actually opened the fruit and ate it. If there was a squash bottle brought to home, he would just open it up, mix it in a bucket. It was like playing holy, and we would drink up the juice. There was a celebration in everything we did. Despite his job restraints, time restraints, he was newly married. Despite all that, he would still spend a lot of time with us. All that he did, somewhere I picked up. At the age of 12, I kind of knew how to fix up a scooter because I would help him by, like the helper boy in a garage. I would help him by handing over the tools. I learned to cut and clean a chicken at the age of 8 or 10 because I saw him doing that. Somewhere he was my role model. Somewhere he was my motivation to do things. I could clean a wound. I could suture a wound. I could inject insulin because I had seen him do that. Not that he was a doctor. My grandparents were diabetics, and in taking care of them, he had learnt all this as a skill. And somewhere I picked all that up. And I have very fond memories, very respectful memories of my stay with my cousins in my grandmother's house. And this uncle, my Sridhar Mama, made it so special to all of us. With the limited resources, with the time constraint, with everything. It was really, really special. Why I'm telling this to you is, are we giving this platform to our children? How much do we siblings gather, bring our children together, bring the children of cousins together and give this platform? We have the money. We have to make time. Neither did he have all the time in the world. He made time for us. Are we making this time? Or are we looking at excuses saying, I am busy? So where has this system tipped? Where has the value system tipped? Let me take you through a story. There was this man who was getting very old. He called his young son and gave him a wristwatch, a gold-plated, beautiful wristwatch, and said, this wristwatch belonged to my father. And before my father owned it, it belonged to my great-grandfather. Before him, it was my great-grandfather's. It is almost 4 to 5 generations old. It is more than 200 years old. Probably one of the first wristwatches when it was put together. One of the first wristwatches ever made, the first batch of wristwatches. And the son said, okay, I receive it with gratitude. What do I do with it? So the father told the son, I want you to go to the local jeweler and say you want to sell this and find out what is the price they are going to offer you for this wristwatch. The young man went to the jeweler, came back after a while and said, Father, he said he will give around 2,000 rupees for this wristwatch. And the father said, fine, just make a note of this in your mind. And now take the same wristwatch, go to a pawn shop, pawnbroker, a pawn shop, and say you want to pawn this watch and ask how much he will give you. The young man again went, came back and said he can give maximum 600 to 700 rupees. And then the father told the son, now my son, take it to a supermarket and find out if they will take it and what they would offer. The young man took the watch to the supermarket. The supermarket didn't even, the guy at the supermarket didn't even look at it, and he said, we don't sell old items. This is not the place for you. We are not interested. You can just leave. I don't think we can give you anything for this watch. Even if you give it for free, we are not going to keep it. The young man went back to his father with the story. And then the father said, now I want you to go to an antique shop. He went to the antique shop. The antique shop, he was offered 20,000 rupees. The young man became excited and came back to his father and said, this is what the antique shop offered me. The father said, now take it to the museum, to the government museum, and say you want to sell this to the museum. When he went, he was surprised. He was awestruck, dumbstruck, because the museum offered him 5 lakh rupees for the watch. Now friends, what have you learned from this? You have to be at the right place at the right time. Never be with people who do not value you. Value in the sense, this is a value of money I'm talking about, but who do not emotionally value you, who do not value your abilities, skills, your self-esteem, self-respect. Do not be with those people. The same you will be looked at with different perspectives by different people. That apart, why did I take you through the story of my childhood memories or this story? Where has our value system tipped from creating a strong family bond to running to the supermarket and buying things instead of as a team making things to eat for the evening snack? Where has our value tipped from visiting a relative's house to visiting a mall? Where has our value tipped in meeting a friend or family for tea than going to a restaurant. Do you see the fabric of social bonding has weakened considerably? Why? Because money gave us the affordability to do things by ourselves. There was a time when there was a wedding, any function, funeral, people depended on each other so much. They bonded so well because they needed people to conduct the wedding with ease. They needed people to take care of the food management in the kitchen, to go buy products from the market, to take care of the guests, to accommodate people in their own houses. When there was a funeral, the whole village waited till the dead body was cremated. Today, we have Swiggy, we have apps, we have catering, we have turnkey projects where you give the money and somebody takes over and does everything for you. Even the welcoming is done by professionals today, friends. Even that is not taken care of by the immediate relatives of the bride or groom. So somewhere we have outsourced everything. And now, is the media outsourcing fear to us? Is anybody giving us hope, or is everybody outsourcing their own fear to us? In the situation of the pandemic, what is that you have to choose? Go back to the values that were held high. Go back to the values where you valued your family. Go back to the system where you were proud to belong to a lineage, where you were so well bonded, the prayers of your well-wishers kept you strong and healthy. Is that what this pandemic is wanting us to learn? To go back to our roots, to make the fabric of family much stronger, respected, and close-knit. And yes, money is a necessity. I am not saying we don't need money. Money is bad. Money is evil. I am not saying any of that. Money is a necessity. We need money for a comfortable life. But that should not take precedence over relationships. All the people who have the money today are not able to take the travel they planned. All the people who have the money, who had planned weddings on a grand scale, are not able to conduct it the way they planned. All the people, whatever they planned with whatever money they could, they are not able to do it. Instead, they are going to the small, close-knit group of 20, 30, 50 members of family and going ahead with the weddings. So is that what this pandemic is wanting us to learn? See, any teacher, the minute the student learns, will go to the next lesson. The lesson is done. Until we learn, the situation persists. So with gratitude, can we learn as quickly as possible and relieve Corona to move on so that we can move on with love, grace, and gratitude, with a deep, loving prayer to the Almighty. Thank you for joining me. Deepa Rani Shekar from Transform Life Programs. Love and Light.